I think there's a real disconnect from people in Tallahassee and people in Washington, D.C., that they don't necessarily see the day-to-day lives that are affected by the discharges from Lake Okeechobee into the Treasure Coast. It's a tragedy, really. They call us the Treasured Coast here. They should really think about calling us the Tortured Coast.
An algae crisis threatening our Treasure Coast.
A cycle of despair and disgust amidst promises made and broken.
Billions of gallons of water are rushing from Lake Okeechobee to our coastline.
How much pollution is too much? How much danger is too much? How much before this will stop?
There's a massive human toll to what goes on with these discharges of water that come from Lake Okeechobee into the Tortured Coast, because what happens is businesses out here can't stay in business. There's not one bait and tackle shop that exists east of these locks here that when they're discharging water here can survive, because nobody's going fishing, nobody's buying tackle, nobody's going out and buying bait. Screws over the people that run sailing camp out here, because nobody's sending their kids to sailing camp in water that they're worried about their kids touching. Nobody's booking reservations for hotel rooms out here when they're worried about the smell of the water. What happens if the water touches them? What about airborne pathogens that get on them? It affects every level of our economy out here from top to bottom. And I think the truly tragic part about the system is that it's screwing over the community in exactly the way that it was designed.
The discharges from the lake, since the lake is having to be, kind of artificially regulated. It used to flow south prior to building the dike in the 1930s, but now we've regulated it to go east and west to the coastal estuaries. And unfortunately, those discharges so heavily impact the estuaries to where it's causing devastation. Lake discharges that come in create this kind of concern of not just the pollutants, the nutrients, the phosphorus, nitrogen create a lot of algae and blooms and things that happen, but it's also that that freshwater condition for too long changes the estuary and starts killing the oysters and seagrass beds. So we've seen that kind of degradation over time. And this new pollution of microcystin toxin is very, very impactful to people, and it's been known to be related to Lou Gehrig's disease and ALS, and there's different symptoms that occur. So it can make people very, very sick and ill, and it's very dangerous. So people need to understand that when you hear about toxic blue-green algae, you need to avoid it and stay away. And now that we know about it, we know how dangerous it could be and how it's affecting young and older people, we need to get concerned about it and fix the problem.
This body recently did a good job for what has to occur to fix this issue in the long term. We passed the Water Resources and Development Act, where we went out there and put a placeholder into that bill for a southern reservoir, a reservoir south of our area, to send this water so that they don't have to send this water to the epicenter of human population in our area. We did a good job of doing something known as asking for a LORS review, a review of the schedule at which level we could keep the Lake Okeechobee water in that lake so that they don't have to discharge that water into our community. We did a good job in making sure that we put resources towards how you can clean up algal blooms. Those were all very important things for the long term. But it doesn't help the people in my community today and tomorrow. The people who have to worry about their children coming in contact with the water because of the human health risks associated with it. It doesn't help the business owners who I have to see day after day with tears in their eyes because they're closing their doors for the last time because they can't survive because of the way this devastates our economy from top to bottom. When you destroy the environment in our community, you destroy us. You destroy every one of us in our community. This cannot continue. This has to stop. And I call on the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers that until the moment comes where you can say the water you're sending into our area is not toxic whatsoever. Until that day comes where you would go into that water yourself or bring your own family members for a vacation, for a swim in our waterways, then don't send one more drop of that water into my community.